Hello and welcome. My name's Dr. Tova Sardo, and I'm welcoming you to our very first, or I guess I should say, March's version of our Love Day. And I didn't want to call it Valentine's Day because it's not. It's something completely different. But this is a movement that started on Valentine's Day to help bring more awareness to love and where love actually exists in all the different places and facets of your life. And so today we're going to be talking about where love exists just in your beingness. You start out as love. And then life gets complicated. So that's going to be the discussion for today. So what do I mean by that? So I'm taking ideas from Buddhism. I'm taking ideas from what I've observed in clients because I help clients. A lot of what I do in sessions with people is I help unearth and process densities that are in the way of the truth of who you are, so that you can then experience your life in a different way, have different perspectives, and show up as more of your true self, more and more of your true self. That's what I love helping people with. That often leads to people finding what they want to do in life, what their path is in life, what their true drives are, and what they want to create. And it helps them become more of a creator in their life and in their world. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about this because I think this is such a fundamental piece of what I see with people is it's the first piece is kind of in Buddhism, and Eckhart Tolle talks about this too. It's like watching the watcher, like knowing that you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts move by and they are not you. You can practice this by when you're thinking, when you're on the hamster wheel, really churning on something, it's start to pull away and realize that there's a watcher that can actually watch the thoughts. And that watcher is there because those thoughts are not you. We've become so identified with our own mentation as part of where we are in our evolutionary process as humans. So it's part of our brain development. And I talk about this in a book. I have a book coming out late spring, possibly early summer. It's called Love Manifests Form. And it's all about this. It's all about the different facets of love and how it actually is what manifests our reality and everything we experience. Yeah. Okay. So more about that later. What I was talking about was watching the watcher and not identifying with thoughts. Just starting to utilize that perspective of I am not these thoughts, this brain, the left side of the brain is associated with that mentation. That is a tool that has been a very important evolutionary tool for us to have as humans here on the planet. And there's nothing wrong with it. We just need to learn how to not identify with it quite as deeply. And anybody that's been on a spiritual path for a little while, this may be old hat to you. You may already know this. You may have been practicing this. But stick around because there might be a correlation to love that you hadn't quite seen or thought of yet that might open up some interesting avenues for self-exploration. So that's the idea. There is the thoughts that are not us, but also the emotions we're experiencing are not us. So we come here as humans to have this human experience and have a full range of emotions, right? What's considered the positive ones and what's considered the negative ones. And so let's talk about polarity a little bit. Polarity, we live in a polar, three-dimensional Earth existence where creation happens, and creation happens everywhere in the universe using polarity. I mean, you can even see it in the masculine and feminine. You can see it in electricity. You can see it so many places in the natural world, how things are driven by the difference between the two opposites. And so just for ease of use of language, I will still use the terms negative emotion and positive emotion because that's what we mostly associate to it. But really, there is no true negative emotion. It's just all part of the experience. Because if we didn't have negative emotions, we wouldn't know what was important. And so that's what I like to use the quote unquote negative emotions for. So when the left brain has a reaction to something, or a trigger to something, it's letting you know something important. And when you're having a contracted emotion like sadness, usually there's a reason. Actually, there's always a reason, even if it's something that is not clear to you. Even if it's something that's not clear to you, if there's not an obvious something just happened in my life and this is a normal human reaction to that happening, then it's something that's happened in your past history that you're continuing to react to that has been unresolved. Because a lot of how our society has dealt with emotions is to keep them down, to not pay attention to them, to ignore them in different ways. And that really isn't effective long-term for our benefit, because it ends up being this density that's in the way of our beingness. We're going to talk about beingness and do a little meditation around beingness. So those are the important things. We are not our thoughts. And so practicing when you think something, especially when you think something silly, we all do it. Think something silly and be like, that's interesting. I wonder where that came from. And don't identify with it. Don't identify with the thought. Be the watcher, play that game because it'll open up more access to your beingness. And then with emotions, play that game too. Even though you can be completely overcome, and sometimes I call it being in the hole of sadness, being in the hole of depression, being in the hole of different, very heavy emotions. And sometimes it's hard when it's that overwhelming in your experience to be having such a big emotion. But knowing that there's this idea of impermanence from Buddhism that's really important. Nothing lasts forever, especially not in this human experience. And so realizing that you won't be in that, even though sometimes it feels like it, you will not be in that emotion forever, and that emotion is not who you are. And I think that's a very important thing to practice when we are in these difficult, more contracting emotions. These are ways to practice this, and to not create more density for ourselves as we have this experience. So let's do a little meditation. So first, I'm going to have you do a little bit of alternate nostril breathing. It's one of my favorite forms of breath work to start a meditation with. And so first you start with your right hand on your right nostril, and then you breathe out all your breath through your left nostril first. Then through that left nostril, you take a breath in. And then in between, you hold both nostrils, let me do this correctly. And then you release that breath through the right nostril. Inhale through that right nostril. Hold in between. And then exhale through that left nostril. And so you always want to end exhaling on that left nostril. That's how you finish the practice. You can do this for 5 minutes, 20 minutes, as long as you have time for, but I'm going to invite you right now to take 5 minutes, pause this and do 5 minutes of alternate nostril breathing. And then I'll see you right back here. All right, welcome back from your alternate nostril breathing. I love that practice so much because it really benefits balancing the left and the right sides of the body and the left and the right sides of the brain to help you find a centeredness. Okay, so now we're going to close our eyes and we're going to send a little bit of our consciousness. Before that, let's do some grounding. It's always useful to do a little grounding too. So we have centered ourselves, and now we're going to go into a grounding. So just imagine that at the base of your tailbone, you have a little bit of a tail that extends down. We probably did at some point, that extends down a little bit. And then imagine going to the center of the earth, all the way down to the metal core of the earth. And imagine that there is a tree growing up from the core of the earth straight to you, and it has a branch that reaches up and touches that tail down from your spine. And then just feel into that, the comfort and the grounding of that grounding cord that's down in the earth. And I love that because it's a meeting of both. It's not one coming up to the other or one going down to the other. It's a meeting. It's a mutual meeting of both. Okay, and so now we're going to keep our eyes closed. Now that we're grounded, now that we're centered, now that we're feeling good in our body, we're going to drop a little bit of our consciousness down into our heart space. And this may feel foreign to you, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it feels perfectly comfortable. However it feels is perfect for you in this moment. And you're just going to feel around. You could feel little places of density. You could see different colors. People will perceive this space differently. You could just feel some expansion. You could feel different emotions, depending on what your sensitivities are. I'm a super empath, so I often feel emotions. And I will get different images regarding some of the themes that are going on, usually a metaphor for what's going on there. But we're not interested in dealing with any of the density right now. We are going to look for the light, the source of light in the center of your chest. So imagine that you see a source of light as you're kind of wading through some of this density and some of this movement. And what does that light look like? What's the color of it? Is it a golden light? Is it a pink light? Is it just a white light? It can be any color, and that could be significant to you. It might be green, which is a color often associated with the heart chakra. But go and find that light and get closer to it and ask to be put in the center of it. And then I want you to feel what it feels like to be in the center of this heart space, of this beautiful heart space of yours. It's so amazing. So notice if you may feel some peace or just a relaxation kind of come over your body. And then some peace kind of come over you. And this is a really special place for you. This is a really special place for you to develop a relationship with more and more, because we've gotten kind of away from it, identifying with our thoughts, identifying with our emotions, when this is more of the truth of who we are. And so I want you to spend some time here. You can even pause this video, spend some time here, and you might get some more insights about maybe there's a message that it has to say to you, to give to you. This is a practice that you can integrate into a daily meditation to create more of a relationship with the space of the truth of who you are. And then let's just come back to normal consciousness. Open your eyes. And now feel that you have that connection to that place in your heart still, this space in your heart. And so it's like consciousness is smeared. I see it almost like when you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you smear the jelly from the head to the heart space. And so you're smearing the awareness from your head to your heart space. And how does that feel different? I want you to notice today how it feels different to operate from this place, where that consciousness is smeared between the places. Your physical heart actually has, I think it's 40,000 different neurons, 40,000 neurons that connects it to the nervous system, that makes it part of the brain connection. So your physical heart is already part of your nervous system in that way, and giving feedback and talking back and forth to the physical heart. So contemplate, how is that experience of peace? How is that experience of centeredness? How is that experience of calm related to love? I want you to think about that. I want you to feel into that, because there's different kinds of love, right? We know about the romantic kind of love that creates all kinds of hormonal reactions. And so does this place, but it's a different kind of hormonal reaction that's happening here. And as you get to know this place, as you get more familiar with this place, you will have more access to deeper emotions, deeper positive emotions. And that's just part of your beingness. And that's kind of what you come down with to start. And then all of our experiences here all the wonderful growth that we have can create densities when we are not dealing with the growth fully. So that's my message today about love. So happy March Love Day. I hope you connect with this love and all types of love today and every day. And I look forward to talking with you next month. We'll talk about a completely different topic and probably do a little meditation about love to help get you an experiential feeling of what we're talking about. So leave comments, let me know how you liked this video, let me know what you'd like to see more of, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Bye, y'all.